Okay, in this next video, I'm going to show you how to go and enable the DXF import function in Blender so that you can bring in your model and start putting your model together. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of how to do this and how to integrate the DXF file into your project. So the first thing, get rid of your cube because that might interfere with what we're trying to do. The next thing you'll need to do is go to File, Edit, Preferences. You need to make sure that an add-on's enabled. By default, if you start typing DXF, you'll notice that these will be off. You just need to enable both of them. Okay, so make sure that this is ticked and that's ticked to enable the DXF import function. It should be available in 4.5 as well and 5. So once you've got the DXF import enabled, the next step you'll need to do is go to File, Import, and you need to go and find DXF. Okay, then you're going to go to Desktop and you'll see that the micro apartment. Now the only catch is I've noticed this exports in millimeters, so you need to change your import scale to 0.001 because by default Blender likes to work in meters. So you need to go and say import DXF. Okay. And then import. Good. You'll see now that because I've worked around the origin, it will bring this in. The next step you need to do, just remember, keep setting your units in Blender. If you're going to start a model, make sure that you work in millimeters. Now if we go to top view and we look down at this, so top view, you will notice that if you go and look at the scale or the grid in the model, you'll see that this will coincide with my model in that I was doing in Rayon. So this is quite powerful because now in order for me to go and generate the walls, and you'll see that the information comes in quite clean, which I enjoy. So it's actually done quite a good job at bringing in the walls. So let's delete the construction lines. Let's have a look at our walls. So you see it's actually bringing the information quite intuitively. I'm going to get rid of some of the extra stuff. I'll leave that in for now. I just want to grab the walls for now. If you use please look at this icon over here. I'm isolating. I'm using on your keypad, on your numlock, there's the dash or / or / key. You see that I can isolate the walls very quickly. By default, these come in as lines or so they come in as curves. The only thing that you need to do now is right click and override these, and you're going to convert them to a mesh. Okay, so once they're a mesh, the only other thing I have noticed with some of these files is that they come in with a lot of vertices that you can fix. But straight away, I'm going to press A on my keyboard and I'm going to merge all of these. So use M on your keyboard and you're going to merge these by distance. You want to get rid of all the redundant vertices. I'm not too worried about these additional vertices. They're just kind of illustrating with a window attached and we've got a center line. But I just want to highlight how quickly you can go and convert this information to a model. So once you select all the curves, so with the node tool active, I see there's a hole here. So let's just fix this hole. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to use the fill tool. It'll close it. Okay, so F, the fill tool. So a lot of these tools, if you're selecting these, you'll notice that a lot of this information are in these commands. They're quite dense, so like face where you're bridging, fill, and joining vertices. Okay, so this will take a bit of time to get used to, but you'll see once you get the hang of it, it's very intuitive. Now that I've got a series of closed faces, all I need to do is select each one of these and use the fill command. So fill command, if there's a bunch of closed vertices in Blender, okay, I think it was this edit tool, mesh tool. So let me just do this again. If you select all of these and you go to face, it will be, sorry, I know all the commands here. So new edge face from vertices. So what it'll do, if you select a closed soup, it'll always try and create a face from these closed. Now, if you press one of these vertices and use L, it'll find all the linked ones. So this is a shortcut. I can use fill again, and guess what? L for linked, it'll try and find all the linked vertices straight away and fill. So this was very quick and intuitive to go and create these walls. I will spend a bit of time and make a more comprehensive video on how to do this, but in a nutshell, show shift spacebar, we can use move. Just remember we've got all these commands that you can use here. Make sure that you switch on your snap. I'm going to say vertex. So if I move this down on the X and Y, you can lock these together. You can also merge vertices together automatically by enabling this tool as well. So if I switch this on, you can auto merge. Just means that you can get rid of the redundant vertices very quickly. But it doesn't really matter because you're never really going to see these in essence. Okay, you can select all of these faces or vertices, it doesn't really matter, and you can use the extrusion tool, and now you can extrude this up by any value that you desire. You can change this later on, but for now I'm going to make them 400. So you can see to go and model these walls are very, very quick. You can do this very quickly. Okay, so just remember to use wireframe mode the whole time if you're going to start editing these. So in plan view, okay, very, very intuitive. So you can now go and get rid of, if you go all, so go to edge mode and go to all, and you're going to press delete and you go limited dissolve, you'll see it'll get rid of all the unnecessary edges and vertices that we don't need. So now you end up with a very clean model. Okay, so this is very intuitive. So if you want to start installing doors and windows, for example, this process is very quick. Okay, so you can see straight away I'm getting quite a comprehensive model together. I've built the walls very quickly, and if I unisolate the commands, I can start using these other objects to create like doors. Okay, so for example, maybe let's have a quick look at how I create a door. Go back into edit mode, go to isolate. I just want to isolate this mesh that I'm working on. Go to top view. I'm going to select just these two edges. It doesn't matter edges or faces. I'm going to go to face. So I'm going to go to edge rather. I'm going to bridge edge loops. So what it'll do, it'll bridge these two to close the hole. But then I'm going to use the extrude tool by manifold. I'm going to select this face. So go to face mode, select this face, and I'm going to extrude up. Okay, this will be minus because we're going in a minus direction. So I'm going to go minus 100. So I just want to show you how quick it is to add a door. The windows will do the same except we'll punch a hole in the middle. So maybe I'll just show that as well. Okay, but I'm just trying to give you a quick overview of how you will start doing this. I am going to give you a few more steps to follow on how to complete this model. I've got an example I'll give you as well. So I'll open that example in a second as well. And I've also given you some additional files that you can use to plug in here. Okay. All right, so in a nutshell, I have built the door opening. Now, how do I go and add a door there? How do I model this door? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the door, I'm going to use this isolate command, and I'm going to convert this to a mesh. Now once this is a mesh, and I press 1 on my keyboard to activate the nodes, you can now go and extrude all this information. The first thing to do is select all or press A on your keyboard, and you click M for merge. Okay, so if you go to vertex and you go to merge, there should be a merge icon here, or merge vertices. I think it's in... Sorry, I use this without, I use all the shortcuts because I have been using this a bit. So there's a merge function here. So merge by distance, you just want to make sure that you get rid of all the redundant pixels. Okay, now we do have a situation maybe when this is linked. So maybe I want to pull this away. So rip regions, I'm going to grab this point over here, I'm going to rip away. Again, likewise, rip away. I'll explain, I'll put it back in a second because I've got some line work. I just don't want this to interfere. I might want the door to start at a different point. So I'm going to go and grab, so again, L, linked, and I'm going to go fill. Very easily, I'm going to grab both of these faces. So use the face tool. I'm going to select that face. I'm going to hold down shift, select that face, and then I don't even have to use the extrude by manifold or extrude. I'm going to go to 100. Okay, I've extruded that, so if I bring back my door now, okay, so there is another tool that will help you when you're starting to model as well. So in the solid or shaded view setting, sorry, in this setting over here, you can use another workflow where it's called random, where it applies random colors to different objects. Okay, I know the green's not quite the same, but it will apply different random colors. The more complicated the scene becomes, you'll see that it will start adding some random colors. So even the wire color can be random. But for now, you'll see that the more information I start adding, the colors will change ever so slightly. So it'll distinguish between different objects. It does help. Okay, so I'm going to go to tab mode now. So in edit mode, I'll go back to wireframe. It'll go back to like go to X view. Now the only trick is we're going to have two faces. We're going to have to shear them at a 45-degree angle. So I'm just showing you these tools to help you. So if you go to shear and you press 1, it will shear it at a proper 45 degrees. I'm going to go back to this one. This one will also be, now this will be a -1. So this does take a bit of time to get used to, but you see it's very easy to use. Okay, I'm going to go back to vertex mode. I'm going to select all of those, go to move, and if you move on the Z axis and you press B for base point. So have a look at the bottom of my screen here when I'm moving objects. You see it's got all these different shortcuts. If I press B once and I press B again, it will allow me to snap to a vertex. Okay, now to put that in exactly the right place, I'm going to select all of those faces again. I'm going to go to edge, I'm going to say bridge it loops. Okay, so now you'll see it'll make a complete door frame for me. So that's quite intuitive. I'm going to go back to tab. Now, with my door frame, I can switch this off. I've got my door frame made very quickly. So you can see to make these objects, it's actually very intuitive. I'm going to go to top view. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to move these vertices back to the right location. So I'm going to press tab. I'm going to grab this vertex. I'm going to move it up. On X, I'm going to snap it so it's back in that location. I'm going to move this in this direction by 2 mil. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this vertex and drag it back and snap to there. Then this point I can simply drag because I had this tool active, and it should close this face. What I have noticed sometimes these things will interfere. I'll show you if you want to make a doorknob for now, but for now I'm just going to delete these edges because I can bring them back because they're interfering, and you can see the way it was drawn in the project file was a bit messy, so delete that. So I'm going to delete vertices. Doesn't matter, face or vertices, and these edges I'm going to delete as well. Delete these edges. I just want to see if there's any more random edges. So if you go back to 1 on your keyboard, you can see all the vertices. I'm going to get rid of that. Delete that as well. Vertex. Delete vertex. Now I can simply drag this. Use this white circle icon if you want to drag and snap. Drag and snap. So now if I press L, these should be a linked object. Go F for fill, E for extrude, Z axis, and I'm going to make this 100 for now. I know it's a little high. I'm going to drag this down to maybe snap to that point over there, and then maybe drag it down by -1. Oh, undo, my bad. So let's just look at this from the side. I made a bit of a mess there. Just be careful when you are selecting these vertices that you use. Ooh, they weren't flat. That's scary. It should have been flat. Okay, so if we go to linked, so we'll do that again. I think I dragged that up by accident, so just be careful. If you have the situation occurring, you go scale, so you go to scale, and you scale everything on the Z and you press 0. It will flatten the whole, it flattens everything, okay? It makes the whole thing flat with Z. And then I'm going to move this down to snap to the bottom here. But now doors are undercut by a certain amount, so I'm going to move this up by 5 mil. And then I'm going to extrude this by 2 meters. E for extrude, and I'm going to type in 2000. Shouldn't be minus. I think it's going in the opposite direction. So let me just say extrude. Doesn't matter where I put it. I'm going to go to my side view, and then I'm going to just move this up until it snaps to the reveal, because remember there's a frame there, and then I'm going to move this down by another. So if I move this down now, okay, if I move this down, I'm going to go 2 mil. So go -2. So go -2, just like that. So it gives us a bit of a gap there. All right. So now we've got our door frame going on. I can delete these. If I don't want these, I can add a doorknob later on, or I don't even have to add a doorknob. Try and keep your models pretty basic at the moment. We don't need these to be complex. Okay, vertex, vertex. Okay. The next thing I am going to do, this is where things start getting quite interesting. You see you've got this origin point in here. What you need to do as well, while you're working the project, you're going to use Shift S, and you go cursor to selection. exit the command, and you're going to set the origin of this door to your 3D cursor. Very important, because that means now whatever you work in here, if you're going to edit stuff, you can use it. You can set where this works. Okay, in Blender, when you're working on nodes, so if I go to tab, any one of these nodes, you can set to work from local or from global. Okay, so this is the height from Z, but local is relative to this origin of this little model, which will be this vertex that was here that we'd set. Okay, so just keep that in mind. All right. I have noticed that some of these objects have parenting, so just remove that. Clear transformations. I have noticed that these have links to other objects. So if you have that little weird line, I would actually select all the objects and clear the parenting as well. Okay, just to help you. But you can see to model this door now, very easy. I'm going to go to L again, link this object over here. Okay, before I do that, I'm going to select this node. I'm going to go Shift S. I'm going to say cursor to selection, your 3D cursor. You can also drag and drop it at certain, you can use the tool and you can drag and drop it. Only thing I have noticed that messes up the orientation of the axis, so just change it back to X and Y. So I am doing this fast, but I'll make a complete series on how to do this. Okay, so I'm going to go to L again, so L, undo that, sorry, I'm going to have to move it back to that point. I prefer to select the vertex, so I prefer to select the vertex and then go Shift S. Okay, remember wireframe mode, Shift S, cursor to selection, and then just make sure that your rotation is set back to normal. Now, why am I doing this? If I select this door now, if I go to L, and I want to rotate this door, so rotate, you'll see it'll try and rotate it from the origin, but if I go to 3D cursor, I can rotate this by 45 degrees. Totally up to you. Minus 45, totally up to you. Okay. Now, if I exit the command and I bring back, to model this door and window, you can see to model these items is very quick. Okay, very, very quick. Now, in addition to that, there's some plugins that will help you guys model your projects as well. There's an IKEA plugin that you can go and get as well. So if you want to start bringing in furniture, I'll explain there's another method to do this, but I'll cover this in a separate video as well. Okay. But in essence, this is how you start your model. All right, go to Edit Preferences. I'll just show you how to get the IKEA. If you get plugins and you start typing IKEA, you'll see that this will have an install icon. Just make sure that you click the install icon and then it'll add it in your project. And if you go to IKEA and you open this up, you can search for bed, you name it. You can start bringing in some of this information from the IKEA web page. Just notice that the internet is a bit slow at times, so it will bring it in quite slow. Only thing I have noticed with these beds is, if I go to move, you'll notice that this bed will come in, it'll be very detailed. Just make sure that you add the mattress as well. So you'll have to download the mattress as well. But it's a great tool to have in your model going forward. The next thing, the last thing I want to cover is you need to start using collections in your model. So make sure that collections are for like walls. It's just going to make your model a lot more manageable. So walls or shell. Walls for now. When you select an object in Blender, sometimes it doesn't appear, but you can use this quick select function over here and you can say selection. This way, whatever you select, it will highlight or show the object and you can drag and drop them to the right collection. It just means if things are in collections, you can switch them on and off very quickly. So maybe you can put this in doors and openings, so make a new collection. So you're going to move this down. I'm going to call this doors and windows or openings. Totally up to you. You can move these objects into the correct. So it just makes your life. So if I switch off all of this information, you can see I can hide the lights and cameras. Just organize your drawings a bit better so they can start getting a good flow. Okay, so I'm just going to close this for now. I'm going to show you some of the example models that I've given you, and you can now use that information in those example models as well. Okay, so I'm going to close this very quickly. I'll leave it here. Let's open a new session. So I'm going to go and open Blender. So I have started creating this model. I've got another model of what I'm busy working on for you. So I'm going to open this one. So this was my micro apartment that I had open earlier. So okay, let me just go and say open. So I have one that I'm working on for you as an example for my tutorials, but I just want to show you how far I've progressed with this. Micro apartment, so micro apartment, open this model. You can see that I've managed to put this together quite quickly, intuitively. Okay, I've also set up a camera where I can create a render of this. So I can export this render very quickly in sections. Then you can plug this render back into your Rayon model. Okay, so this render you plug straight back into Rayon. Okay, so it's quite intuitive what you can do. In addition to this, I've given you some other examples that you can go and open. I just want to go to here and go to OKU. I'm just going to show you some of the other files that I've given you. You can use these other files to build your own libraries. Okay, I'm going to give you a separate video on how you go about doing that. Okay, so if you go to Vim library, you'll need to download this, but I've given you these models. And if you go to ablutions and kitchen models, if you open these models, you'll see that they're full of information that you can then harvest and put into your own model. Okay, they work the same ways as IKEA. So you can see in this kitchen model, it is full of information. So you can extract and copy information from this model and make them your own. Okay, I'm still looking for some extra appliances, but I think this is a great place to start. Okay, so this model is very comprehensive. Let me just put it in a better view. Some of these models are quite detailed, so just be careful using them, but you can use this information in your own models. And I think this is a great example to see what you can do. Okay. All right, I hope this helps.